ruins everything.
Look, the silly season is all about friends, family and a whole lot of food, but these days it can be really tricky to cook for groups. 11% of Aussies consuming a gluten-free diet, which is very personal to support.
Yes, it is, because I was recently diagnosed as a celiac. So Dr. Joanna Camillan is here to talk us through this, because, Joe, this is devastating. I love pasta, I love pizza, I love all the bread.
Well, I'm going to give you lots of different options, and I'm telling Carl off there because he's already destroying my set.
Which looks delicious.
I was up late baking for you last night, Sarah, so I wanted to show you that there's lots of different options.
Good, because this is the problem.
The good thing here is Carl can't talk because he's got his mouth full of my gluten-free fruit loaf.
I've run out of saliva.
Stop it! See, this is the problem. This is the problem. You think about alternatives and they're often dry, they're often like flavourless.
Yeah, well, they're not. What I would do with my bread, though, Carl, is to toast it or to have it warm and to put, that's why I've got peanut butter here, a little drizzle of honey. We've got some buckwheat pancakes here. You're going to love this, especially if I just drizzle on the top some gorgeous maple syrup. There you go, that's a gorgeous gluten-free treat or breakfast or even a dessert. So remember, actually, most foods are gluten-free in their natural form. It's only wheat, barley and rye. Oats are a little bit controversial because it's not actually gluten that's in there. It's a similar kind of compound.
I'm going to take advantage of Carl's mouth still being full here because rice, obviously, you can have, but there are things that, I mean, so much contains wheat.
So much does. So packaged foods and processed foods you've got to be careful with. But if you go back to basics and you start thinking, OK, this is brown rice, we've got quinoa, we've got grains we forget about, like millet and amaranth, teff, which I couldn't get hold of, but teff is an Ethiopian grain that's really interesting. All the legumes. Yeah. What about potatoes? Good old potatoes and sweet potatoes. The zucchini are there because you can do the old zucchini spirals if you want to do that.
All right.
And have you tried these?
No, I haven't. I have had some gluten-free pasta, though, which is quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between gluten-free and celiac? Because there is a difference, isn't there?
There is. Well, so gluten is a protein that's present in wheat, rye and barley. And so that's why it ends up in everything. Now, if you've been diagnosed with celiac disease, you need to be really strict about an absolutely no-gluten diet.
You're really enjoying that
I'm like
cake.
watching him out the corner of my eye for what's going to happen next. So you need to be really strictly gluten-free. It's an autoimmune condition where the gluten is actually going to damage the lining of your gut. So you have to be really strict. But there's a group of other people who we think just have a gluten sensitivity, and that's just a bit more like a food intolerance. And they don't need to be so strict. So that's certainly a much, much easier diet to follow.
So what does that mean for you, say, for example, if we would go to an Italian restaurant tonight?
Yeah. Well, what I've had to do recently is ask if they've got gluten-free options, which most places do these days.
But you love food like that.
Especially pasta.
Yeah,
especially pasta.
I know. So you're going to have to do your own home cooking with the legume pastas are really, really good. And, you know, and the thing about restaurants chefs are so across this now. So that is my recommendation, is to contact a restaurant ahead of time and say what your dietary
If you're going to a Christmas party at the end of the year or some kind of end-of-year party and you want to take something with you, can you do something that's friendly for those who may not necessarily be able to consume every food under the sun, like a flourless chocolate cake or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that's flourless, anything that when you make them from these kind of raw ingredients, you could do a beautiful gluten-free chocolate tart using mashed pumpkin with chocolate. I do have some dark chocolate here, dark chocolate and berries. You can do your gluten-free baking. This is just a fruit loaf. I've added hemp seeds. I use this gluten-free flour mix.
Now Carl's in.
Now you're interested?
Terry, the headline.
Yes, he's in now.
These are the seeds, Carl. These are going to give you protein and fibre. One of the things that you really have to look for in a gluten-free diet is that you don't start relying on so many packaged, processed gluten-free foods that don't have fibre.
Excellent.
So, you know, wheat and barley and rye are such important source of fibre. You've got to replace it. So that's why I've added nuts and seeds and hemp and so on to my loaf. I've opted for whole grain wraps. The corn tortillas are really great, so you can still do a wrap.
We've got to roll. We've got to roll. Thank you so much. I hope you got something out of that, Sis.
I did, and everyone else out there watching too, because there are a lot of us.
Coming up more now.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving, of course.
That never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?